The film takes place in Poland shortly before the outbreak of World War II. Anna, a woman who works in the field, is approached by a stranger in the opening scene. He calls himself Joseph and frantically states that he requires assistance because some police are after him. Anna lets him hide under her skirt without asking much. The strategy works, and when the police arrive, nothing is found, so they quickly leave. Anna and Joseph are inseparable ever since that day and eventually wed. A year has passed. Life appears to be going well for the couple after they gave birth to a daughter. However, the police eventually locate Joseph and surround him near a lake one day. Joseph dives into the water as he runs out of options as they begin to fire at him. He was last seen by anyone at that point. He may have drowned in the water, according to some, or he may have fled to the United States and established himself as a successful businessman there. However, Anna finds it challenging to raise her daughter now that her husband is no longer with her. In order to make money, she sometimes sells her body and vegetables. After that, the movie cuts to a few years later. Anna's child, Agnes, has matured into a stunning woman. Agnes is attracted to a number of men, but she is having an affair with her own cousin. January they frequently bond and have fun. However, Agnes marries a German chef named Alfred because they are unable to get married. She becomes pregnant a few months later, giving birth to a boy she names Oskar. It's odd that no one knows whether he belongs to her lover or husband. Oskar continues to weep, possibly because he did not wish to enter this world. However, he settles down when Agnes promises to give him a drum when he turns 3. The movie then fast-forwards another 3 years. A large number of visitors and family members have gathered at Oskar's home to celebrate his 3rd birthday. He is delighted when Agnes presents him with a toy drum, as she promised. Oskar completely ignores the celebrations that are taking place as he parades around the house and plays with it in a curious manner. He is however disgusted when he observes adults drinking alcohol. As a result, Oskar chooses to remain a child forever. He seriously hurts himself when he jumps from the staircase that night. The doctor tells him when he gets to the hospital that he has ruptured parts of his brain that control how big he gets. Oskar's wish is now realized, he will always be a child. When Oskar is released from the hospital a few weeks later, he immediately begins playing the tin drum. He carries it with him at all times, whether he is at home, shopping, or even attending school. When his irritated father tries to take the drum from him one day, Oskar unleashes a deadly scream that breaks all of the glasses in the area. The child's family accepts his superpowers because they are aware of them. After another 3 years, Oskar will turn 6. The drum is always with him, and he hasn't grown an inch. Oskar yells loudly when a teacher tries to take it from him one day at school. Not only does this cause harm to the other students, but it also breaks the teacher's glasses. Agnes and Alfred have become more concerned about their son's antics at home. He is obsessed with the tin drum despite the fact that he does not grow physically. They take him to a number of doctors in the city, but none of them are able to treat him. Oskar's parents decide to give him the best possible life once they finally accept his fate. Therefore, Agnes takes him to the city every Saturday, presumably to show him around. However, she actually leaves him behind in a toy store and goes to see her lover. January they always ensure that they have a lot of sexual activity. Oskar doesn't even care if his mother is caught doing it one day. He just wants to play with his tin drum and remain a child. 6 additional years pass. Oskar is now 12 years old, but he hasn't changed a bit since he was 3. His parents take him to a circus to see a group of dwarves perform one day. When Agnes and Alfred see them, they wonder if their son is also a dwarf. Oskar shows off his ability to scream when he meets the dwarves' leader at the end of the show. The leader extends an invitation to him to join their group and travel the world. However, Oskar's parents arrive and take him away before he can respond. In the meantime, the Nazis intensified their attacks on Warsaw, prompting the outbreak of the Second World War. Mass emigration begins as a result of the persecution of hundreds of thousands of Jews. The man from the toy store, Marcus, who plans to move to London as soon as possible, turns out to be a Jew as well. He needs to take Agnes and Oskar with him, clearly in light of the fact that he has fostered a feeling of fondness towards them. Sadly, when Marcus reveals the plan to Agnes, she rejects it outright and leaves his shop, never to return. Poland slowly begins to descend into chaos after another few weeks. The local people are rendered helpless as a result of the Soviet participation in the invasion. Agnes is deeply affected by the war, and her son's incessant mischief does not help her feel better either. As a result, she begins to consume a lot of raw fish one day. Agnes's allergy to fish causes her family to become concerned. They make an unsuccessful attempt to stop her. Sadly, She dies from food poisoning after overindulging in raw fish. Her digestive system collapses. Numerous relatives and friends attend her funeral to pay their respects. Marcus is also one of them, but the Nazis quickly kick him out because of his ethnicity. However, after everyone has left, he returns to silently declare his love for Agnes, something he would never have been able to do while she was still alive. The Nazis unfortunately set fire to Marcus' toy store a few days later. He becomes depressed as a result of losing his sole source of income and eventually does the unthinkable. Oskar is heartbroken when he learns about this, not because he liked Marcus but because his toy store was the only one in the city that fixed drums. Oskar contacts his second father because the old drum he used to play is now partially damaged, Jan, for support. The latter is employed at the nearby post office, where numerous vintage drums are kept. Therefore, Jan takes the young boy there to purchase a new one for him. Unfortunately, the Nazis launch a surprise attack on the post office on that very day, destroying everything in their path. While Jan and the others bravely fight, they are no match for the ruthless Nazis, who kill several men right away. Finally, Jan and the other Polish survivors are led outside and executed one at a time. However, Marcus is fortunate to be able to remain concealed within the post office for long enough for a good Samaritan to rescue him. Oskar moves in with Alfred permanently now that both of his parents have passed away. The latter eventually employs a young maid named Maria. Oskar is captivated by her beauty right away and constantly tries to get close to her, but Maria treats him like a child. She doesn't notice that they are the same age because Oskar has such a small frame. The young boy wakes up one morning to find that there is a fight going on in the living room. At the point when he goes to review, he amazingly sees his dad and Maria censuring each other in their insufficiently dressed clothing. Oskar was unaware that they were having an affair throughout. He is heartbroken to see his father clap for the love of his life. However, things aren't always easy. Maria wants to be with Alfred and truly loves him, but he just sees her as a commodity. Because of her age, he does not want to marry her. Oskar uses his drum to try to console Maria that night as she weeps alone in the kitchen. But this only makes her feel worse, so she pushes him away and calls him names. Maria approaches the young boy to apologize after quickly realizing her error, but he instead punches her in the stomach. Maria is clearly pregnant without. In addition, Oskar enters a relationship for the very first time in his life. She is Rosvita, one of the entertainers, and she is kind to him. Unfortunately, the happy times do not last long as some American soldiers carry out a bombing raid on the Nazi base. Roswitha does not have the same luck as Oskar and his friends when it comes to escaping. Oskar witnesses her agonizing demise right in front of him. The incident traumatizes the young man, who returns home because he is unable to handle the current circumstance. Maria, on the other hand, is not as thrilled as Alfred to see his son back. She still despises him for the punch he gave her years ago to the stomach. Despite this, Oskar is content to be back at home. He gives Maria's son a tin drum, similar to the one he received when he was the same age, when he turns 3. In the meantime, the war has grown to the point where it is now dangerous to walk in the streets. In this moment, the Nazis are executing not only innocent Poles but also innocent Jews. Alfred is terrified by this because, despite being German, his entire family is Polish. Therefore, Alfred renovates his basement and conceals everyone there to ensure their safety. Unfortunately, some Soviet soldiers find the location one day. They question each member of the family individually, and when it is determined that Alfred is German, he is executed immediately the following day. Alfred's restaurant is taken over by Marius, a powerful Polish businessman. He also conducts the chef's funeral, claiming that he understands what it's like to lose a loved one. Marius makes sense of that only a couple of months prior, his significant other and youngsters died in a mishap. When Oskar attends the funeral as well, he realizes for the first time that he is an orphan. Both of his parents have been murdered. As a result, he now desires to mature and take care of himself. By throwing away his favorite tin drum, Oskar takes the first step toward adulthood. Because it is the only thing that has remained with him throughout his life, he must tearfully say goodbye to it. The drum was always by his side as his parents, siblings, and other loved ones passed away one by one. He is knocked unconscious just as his stepbrother hits him with a rock in the head. When they see blood gushing out of his nostrils, they become concerned and rush to check on him. Fortunately, there is a doctor in attendance at the funeral, and he says that Oskar is fine and will grow again. After the impact, the part of his brain that is responsible for physical growth has somehow healed. Hearing this makes everyone happy. We are shown in the final scene that the bloody war has come to an end with the fall of Berlin. After almost 6 years of brutality, Poland is freed. In any case, the vast majority of the country has been destroyed, so many families are emigrating toward the west looking for a superior life. Maria and Oskar are two of them, and they hurriedly board a crowded train and leave the city. Oskar notices his grandmother at the end of the movie. From the station, Anna is staring at him. He screams at the top of his lungs to stop the train, but his powers have vanished because he has begun to grow. Until the train disappears from view, Anna maintains her stare at him. Thanks for watching my videos. Please hit that like button and do not forget to subscribe to my channel.